All right, everybody, we are live and it is bedtime. And I have been reading The Wind in the Willows by Kenneth Grahame because it's my favorite book. And this is the way that I get my son to let me still read to him because apparently reading on YouTube is cool. All right, so here we are. Let's see. Now we are right here. No one else too well. I mustn't be hard on you, said Rat with a forebodance. You're new to it, and of course you don't know. The bank is so crowded that many people are moving away altogether. Oh no, it isn't what it used to be at all. They long all and always wanting you to do something, as if a fellow had no business of his own to attend. What lies over there? Asked the mole. What lies over there? Asked the mole, waving a paw towards a background of woodland that darkly framed the water meadows on one side of the river. That's just the wild wood, said the rat shortly. We don't go there very much. We river bankers. Aren't they very nice people in there? Said the mole, with a trifle nervously. Well, Rat replied, let me see. The squirrels are right, and the rabbits, some of them, but the rabbits are mixed a lot. Hang on, let's turn the page. And then there's Badger, of course. He lives right in the heart of it. Wouldn't live anywhere else either if you paid him to do it. Dear old Badger, nobody interferes with him. They'd better not, he added significantly. Why, who should interfere with him? Asked Mole. Well, of course, there are others, explained the rat in a hesitantly sort of way. Weasels and stoats and foxes and so on. They're all they're all right in a way. I'm very good friends with them. Past the time of day when we meet and all that, but the breakout sometimes there's no denying it. And then, well, you can't really trust them. That's the fact. The mole knew well it was quite against animal etiquette to dwell on possible trouble ahead, or even allude to it, so he dropped the subject. And beyond the wild woods again, he asked, where it's all the blue and dim, and one sees what may be hills or perhaps mate, and something like the smoke of towns, or is it only cloud drift? Beyond the wild wood comes the wild world, said Rat. And that's something that doesn't matter either to you or to me. I've never been there and I'm never going, nor you either. If you've got any sense at all, don't ever refer to it again. Please, now then, here's our backwater at last, where we're going to lunch. Leaving the main stream, they now looked past into what seemed at first sight like little landlocked lake. Green tufts sloped down to either edge. Brown, snaky trees' roots gleamed below the surface of water quiet, while ahead of them the silvery shoulder of foamy trumble of wire. Arm in arm, the restless dripping mill wheel that held up its turn, a gray gabbled mill house, filled the air with a smooth murmur of sound, dull and smothery, yet with little clear voices speaking up. cheerfully out of the at intervals. It was very beautiful that the mole could only hold up both forepaws and gasp. Oh my, oh my, oh my. The rat bought the boat alongside the bank, made her fast, helped the still awkward mole safely ashore, and swung out the luncheon basket. The mole begged as a favor to be allowed to unpack it all by himself. The rat was very pleased to indulge him and to sprawl at full length on the grass and rest while his little excited friend shook out the tablecloth and spread it, took it all out. Mysterious packets one by one arranged their contents due order, still gasping, oh my, at each revelation. When all was ready, the rat said, "Now pitch in, old fellow," and the mole was indeed very glad to obey, for he had started his spring cleaning at very early hour this morning, as people will do, and had not paused for a bite or sup, and had been very great deal since distant time, now which seems so many days ago. "What are you looking at, rat?" Presently, when the edge of the hunger was somewhat dulled, and Mole's eyes were able to wander off at the tablecloth a little. "I'm looking at," said the Mole, "a streak of bubbles that I see traveling along the surface of the water. That is a thing that strikes me funny." "Bubbles? Oh," said the rat, and chippered up cheerfully in a inviting sort of way. A broad, glistening muzzle showed itself above the edge of the bank, and the otter hauled himself out and shook the water from his coat. "Greedy beggars," he observed, making the provender. "Why didn't you invite me, Ratty?" "This isn't an impromptu affair," explained the rat. "By the way, my friend, Mr. Mole." "Proud, I'm sure," said the otter. The two animals were friends forthwith. "But such a rumpus everywhere," continued the otter. "All the world seems out on the river today. I came up backwater to try to get a moment's peace, and then stumble upon you fellows. At last, I beg pardon. I don't exactly mean that, you know." There was a rustle behind them, proceeding from a hedge, wherein last year's leaves still clung thick. A stripy head, with his shoulders behind, peered forth on them. "Come on, old badger," shouted Rat. The badger trotted forward a pace or two, then grunted, company," and turned his head back and then disappeared from view. "That's just sort of his fellow he is," observed the disappointed rat. "Simply hates society. Now we shan't see any more of him today. Well, tell us, who's out on the river?" "Toad's out for one," replied Otter, "in his brand new wagger boat. New togs, new everything." The two animals looked at each other and laughed. "Once it is nothing but sailing," said the rat. Then he tired of that and took to punting. Nothing would please him but to punt all day, every day. A nice mess he made of it at last. Last year it was houseboating, and we all had to go stay with him in his houseboat and pretend like we liked it. He was going to spend the rest of his life in the houseboat. It's all the same. Whatever he takes up, he gets tired of and starts on something fresh. Such a good fellow, too," remarked the otter reflectively, but no stability, especially on a boat. From where they stayed, they could take a glimpse of the main steam across the island that spread them, and just then a wager boat flashed into view. The rower, a stout figure, splashing badly and rolling a good deal, but working his hardest. The rat stood up and hailed him, but Toad, for it was he, shook his head and settled sternly to his work. He'll be out of the boat in a minute if he rolls like that, said the rat, sitting down. Of course he will, chuckled the otter. Did I ever tell you that good story about Toad about Toad and the lock keeper? It happened this way. Toad, the errant mayfly, swerved unsteadily outward, the current in the intoxicated fashion affected by young bloods of mayflies, sea flying life, a swirl of water, and a cloop, and the mayfly was visible no more. Neither was Otter. The mole looked down. The voice was still in his ears, but the turf whereon he had sprawled was clearly vacant. Not an otter to be seen as far as the distant horizon, but again was a streak of bubbles on the surface of the river. That rat hummed a tune, and Mole recollected that animal etiquette forbade any sort of comment on sudden disappearance of one's friend at any moment, for any reason or no reason whatsoever. This book is actually The Wind in the Willows, and he is asleep. It was my favorite book when I was a kid. So we're going to pause there, and I hope you have a wonderful night. Sweet dreams. Keep it crispy. Until tomorrow.